Okay, so today, in order to deepen and connect some more with our bodies, we're going to borrow something from martial arts. It's called standing tree pose. It's not the standing tree or the tree pose that they have in yoga, a different thing. This one is called zhuang. I'm sure I butchered that, so I am ready with the spelling. The spelling is Zhang, Zhuang, and that'll come in handy if you just love this and want to look it up further, or if you really need some more visual aids. If you're a super visual person, you want to watch a YouTube video of somebody going through this like with their full body. I tried to get this to work out so that I could get my full body in the shot, but I am not a super technical person, and it was like proving to be really difficult. So I got more of my torso in there, and I feel really confident that this is going to go easily, even if I don't have my whole body in there, because it's such a basic pose, and I'm going to talk us through it. It's so easy, but you know, you have the name if you want to look it up and you need some more visual aids. So this pose is supposed to be, it's like long been done in order to cultivate more chi or bring more energy into the body. And when I tried it, I was like, okay, I really get what they mean. Like, I do, surprisingly, like feel a lot of energy moving and shifting, and like I get it. I get how this is bringing more energy into the body. So that's why I had to share. I feel like it's a pretty cool thing. All right, so here's how it goes. We are going to stand. So as promised, it was easy, right? Just a standing pose. Stand, get your feet firmly planted on the floor. Then you're going to bend your knees slightly. It is going to kind of be a squat, a mini squat, not like a deep squat where you could be like all the way so low that you could touch your hands to the ground. Not that low. It's going to be just like a micro bend or mini bend, but it is still a squat. It's still considered a squat. It's not just like such a slight bend that you would just, think that person's not even in a squat. You're going to be in kind of a squat, and you're holding in a squat. That's kind of what we're doing here to bring some energy. So slight squat. Then you are going to tilt your pelvis under. This is so that you flatten out to the curve in your lower back. Your lower back usually has a curve like this in it, and we're going to try to tilt our pelvis under to neutralize that curve a little bit, and flatten it out. And then we're going to stack our shoulders over our hips. Hopefully your hips are already stacked over your feet quite nicely, because we are trying to create a structure here. A structure so that there's ease, right? Because we don't want to be exerting ourselves just holding this standing position, or at least we want to be exerting ourselves as little as possible. And so once the shoulders are stacked over the hips, then we're going to make sure to lift our chest, and then we're going to tuck our chin back, and then we're going to straighten and lengthen the back of our neck and pull, through the top of our head. And that's the stacking part, that's the posture and the stacking part. And then we're going to add some stuff. We're actually going to add imaginary balloons, in fact. 2 small imaginary balloons, like under the arms, under the armpits, so that your arms are kind of floating out here. And then a 3rd balloon, a medium-sized one, in your hands, maybe out in front of your heart or chest, or you could even drop it more and have it be in front of your stomach or torso. It's whatever feels structurally like less efforting to you, whatever feels more aligned and, sort of stacked the best for you. And, of course, like I said, they're balloons, so you don't want to, smash them. You got to have this weightlessness, so that they could be just kind of balancing on this balloon here. And the same with your hands. You don't want to be squeezing or gripping it, just like light touch. It's a balloon. So that's kind of all it takes. And you're there breathing, and you're checking in over and over with the different points that we, went through. Are my knees still bent? Could they bend some more? Is my pelvis tilted under? Has that curve in my back started to come back, do I need to straighten it back out a little bit? How about my chest? Has it been dropping? Should I lift it some more? Is my chin coming forward? Do I tuck it? You know, checking back in with all these points, making sure you're not crushing your balloons, making sure all of that's lifted too. And you'll just like repeatedly check in, you know, to make sure that you're really keeping that structure, because we're just holding this. Like, that is the name of the game. We are going to hold this, you know, for as long as we can, at least 3 minutes, hopefully 5, even more if you're able or willing, because it can get really cool. I mean, at first, when you're doing it for the first minute, you might be like, why am I even doing this? I feel nothing. And that's fine, you know, that's fine, because it's so subtle and small. It's not this like huge exertion, and that's kind of the beauty of it. That's what allows all the good stuff that comes next. But eventually, you know, if you've been holding it, you'll start to feel something. You'll start to feel maybe a little fatigue or a little burn in the legs, maybe in the arms, you know, some burn and some fatigue. Maybe your heart beats a little bit faster, but you'll start to feel something. You'll start to feel like, all right, I'm feeling a little bit of exertion here, a little bit of heat, a little bit of fire, you know, coming in the body. And that's the energy. That's the energy. This is the cultivating of the energy. This is bringing more energy into your body. And all it took was, you know, just holding something pretty basic, with a tiny bit of work involved. And it brought some energy. So there's that, you know. And in this posture, like in this martial arts tradition, they usually do all these different prompts that I think are cool, because we're going to start getting into not just like the holding it and the like fact that the energy is now in our bodies, but like moving the energy and doing different stuff with it, and like using our mind over matter, and participating and willing the energy a little bit more. One of the things that they say is, you know, when you feel this energy coming up, usually in the legs, you'll feel the burn, or, you know, in the rooted areas like your hips, you know, the below the waist kind of areas, you'll feel some, you know, fire, some heat, some energy, some fatigue, you know, probably in the form of something that you recognize as fatigue. You're going to breathe that down back through your legs into the earth, and have that energy ground you and root you, and have that very energy, that very burn, not be fatigue, but serve you as further strength. So you send it back down into the ground, root yourself, anchor yourself even further, let it be more of a foundation, let that energy be a source of strength. And now you're feeling stronger, you're more rooted into the ground. You just keep sending it back down through your legs and into the ground, for that additional strength. And I think that's really when it begins, like, all right, this is cool. This is when we're starting to use our minds and the space that we have in them, because, you know, if we were doing something like horribly exertive, like something that was just like grueling, we would not have the mind space. You know, if it was like, ouch, everything kills, how am I going to make it, like, you know, and you're just like focused on the, oh my gosh, get me out of this, then, you know, your mind is occupied and you don't have the space to like play with subtle things. But this is such a subtle posture that I feel like we have that possibility. And so it can entrain that in us a little bit more, you know, moving energy, breathing through something that feels like, ooh, I'm starting to feel the burn, I'm starting to get fatigued, sending it down through the legs, letting it be a greater source of strength, or just sending it down through the legs and putting it in the ground to like dissipate it and get it gone, you know, dissolve it into the earth so that it's not with you anymore. So moving the energy in that way, moving it away from you, or using it, you know, like I said, as that greater source of strength, you know. And let's just breathe, like, let's just breathe. How is this going? You know, when does the fatigue show up? How does it show up? How is this going for you? Does everything just like fall apart when the fatigue shows up, when the burn starts to happen? Or are you able to like get what I'm saying here and breathe and see if you can breathe through it and endure and, you know, move it, shift it, make it different. You know, the other thing you can do is like, breathe it so that, you know, you take whatever burn you're feeling, and it might be in your arms. It doesn't have to be in your legs. That's just the directive that they usually use in this pose. But when it comes up, can you breathe whatever fatigue or exertion or burn that you feel like through your body, and have it be dissipated everywhere so that it's more evenly distributed? It's not just in one spot that's like starting to feel distracting or uncomfortable. Instead, you're able to like breathe it through everything and have it shift, even like transmute it or transform it so that now it's more dissipated and you feel it as like tingling, alive sensation that can even be pleasurable, you know, like in your body. It's not that distracting, oh my gosh, you know, instead it's like, you know, aliveness, like, ooh, this is invigorating. I feel alive. This energy is just like everywhere. I can breathe it everywhere and have it contribute to more of a sense of aliveness, you know? So those are the things that we can do with it. And like, how beautiful. I mean, I love this pose for that very reason. It actually like embodies and defines in a very physical, experiential way the word endurance for me. You know, I mean, I'm sure it's not how Webster defines it, but you know, like, this is endurance. This is exactly it in real experience, in an activity. You know, endurance is being able to move things with your mind. Like I said, mind over matter, being able to change things, shift them, willing. I mean, this is also like that definition of willpower, being able to will some rest into existence, you know, make rest happen by breathing and dissipating whatever fatigue is there, sending it down through the legs, changing it into strength instead. It's my root, and now I'm feeling more strong because all that fire just went down my legs, and it's my foundation with my feet even stronger planted on that ground, and I feel like I can keep going. I'm using this, you know, fire and burn to like be enlivening and invigorating all throughout my body, and that's my continue. That's how I continue. That's that energy that I need to keep going. That is to me like the very definition or experience of willpower, being able to will things into being, will things to move, will things to shift, will things to transform, or just will rest to happen, will the things that you need into a situation. And like, oh my gosh, do we not need that in life? I mean, I love any time that we can like physically experience something that is usually a heady concept or something that's like non-physical, like, you know, ferocity of spirit or fortitude or willpower. You know, these are usually concepts, but this is like feeling it in real experience. Like, what does it take to cultivate the will, or to grab the energy that you need, or to, you know, be in a situation that's perhaps fatiguing or some duress that you're under, you know, and really breathe through it and will some rest to happen, will what you need to happen, or have that like ferocity of spirit to endure. I can keep going. I'm going to take this and make it into what I need. I'm going to use it as a further source of strength. I'm going to dissipate it through my body. I'm going to redistribute it. You know, any of these things, I'm going to circulate it, you know, as circulation of energy to like, let me have the energy, the invigoration that I need to keep going, you know, in life. Like, we need that so much. And, you know, I mean, think about it, like how many situations, you know, that life can throw us that can be fatiguing, or, you know, that can feel like duress, like, oh my God, you know, horrible stuff. I feel the burn of life, you know, and if I can do this with it, if I can understand it from that real experience that I had when I was doing this with my physical body, you know, I got a better mental grasp on that when I had the mental headspace to like train it physically and understand it, what it actually means, what it actually takes to have that ferocity of spirit, and just like pull what you need from it and breathe through it and keep going and shift it into what you need it to be, you know, transform it, all that kind of stuff. I just feel like it's awesome. And that's what I love doing, like things with our body for, because often this body is this like amazing conduit through which we experience ourself. And so when we can really like try something and like, get it with our body, is so much easier to kind of understand it when it's in that non-physical form and we really need it for life and for what's happening, you know? So yeah, it's like, see how you like it, see what it feels like to like bring some fortitude and some ferocity of spirit. I mean, do you get that, you know? Or is this just like, you know, a cool dare of like, how long can you stand there? How bad can it burn? When do you when do you give, you know? I mean, there's that too. It's playful in that way too, but I really hope the metaphor starts to show up for you, because that's where I find it to be the most interesting and beautiful. And like I said, we would never be able to do this, or at least I don't think, if it weren't for how beautifully subtle and easy this little exercise is. So that's why I get it. Like, oh my gosh, martial arts, that is ingenious, you know? Is so subtle that we have the mental capacity to actually think about using our mind over matter. We have the mind space to actually do that and to watch and understand and experience as we're breathing and shifting the energy. Like, oh, I can feel that subtle shift in energy. Yeah, I can feel it grounding down through my legs. And yeah, it's not so tremendous of a pain that I can't like shuffle it down and root it into the ground and have it be my foundation and my strength. Or it's not so horrible of a fatigue in my arms that I can't just breathe it through and like see if I can make it like tingle and be like a source of enlivened energy in my body. Like, oh yeah, you know, and that's what I love about it. It's like so beautiful, so subtle, and so possible to use it as like real training for life and understanding what is willpower, what is fortitude, what is ferocity of spirit, what is endurance. All right, well, I obviously love it. I hope you love it just as much.